Unmute this. I am muted.
Oh, that's... Hi, Karen.
Hi. Sorry, I
Hi.
just didn't figure out how to unmute myself. Sorry.
That's okay. I'm going to run through my intro again because I just realized I was muted for it.
Oh, is that what it was?
That's what it was. Yep. Just a second. Welcome to the OSU PDC Pro Office Hour. This is Susan's group. This is the Office Hour for Oregon State University PDC Pro Summer 2025, June 23rd to December 14th. This is call number 1, and the next lesson is lesson 1, Personal Survey Design Site Climate Survey, due next Monday, July 7th at 9 a.m. Pacific. Okay, now I've unmuted you, or muted you again. There we go. Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Great. Okay. Whereabouts are you?
I'm in South Africa.
Okay.
Am I the only person here?
You are the only person here, so you get like one-on-one time.
Well, and you can go back to recuperating.
Well, usually I do an overview of the template and the lesson and everything. I think I'll actually record that afterwards. Here's another. Sometimes people do kind of trickle in late, and because I rescheduled, it's a little.
There you go.
Hi, Vincent. Okay. Yeah, I've slowly been getting my voice back. Just yesterday, I was like, I can actually speak in full sentences without worrying about. Wow, what awful timing.
My husband loves it when I use my voice.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. My roommate thought it was hilarious. She's like, I can talk all I want and you can't say anything. Great. Okay, I might just give people one more minute to arrive. And Vincent, whereabouts are you in the world?
I'm in Northern California, about an hour and a half north of Sacramento.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. Karen is here from South Africa. Excuse me. I'll probably mute that first. Okay, so do you guys have any questions, or do you want me to just launch into kind of a tutorial of the template and everything in the first lesson?
I have a technical question. In order to manipulate my, the content on my slides, I was cheerfully resizing, like diagram labels and that sort of thing. And then I realized that there was a symbol that said, "Do not resize these." And I'm just wondering if we were encouraged by the demonstration video to rearrange our slides and whatever to suit the content that we had. But to do that and keep track of all of the original formatting, do we need to do that?
It can get tricky. So there's kind of a middle ground. Can you tell me where these 3 dots were, or were you in the template viewer? Or the theme builder?
Oh, no, I was working with a copy, obviously, of the template. And so if you go to the unhighlighted, so if you go down to say part 2, design site, and you look at a diagram of so the next slide.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So if you see there, picture 300, which actually probably should be 201, whatever. that if you select it, just see what it says to you. Does it give you an equal? Yeah, there you go. You see the little equal sign with it seems like it says don't.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
don't
interesting.
resize.
So that's just a setting. That's just a setting in the template to keep things consistent. Now, if you wanted to, you could change those settings.
Okay.
It is so. Yeah, there is kind of a middle ground here. Like it's great when students customize to to their material and to find fonts they like and things like that. Where I kind of want people to exercise a little bit of caution is in focusing on the design aspects of the template, to the point that they're spending time, say, resizing fonts or picking the right font for their personality, whatever, to the detriment of actually getting the information in, and then they're submitting partial information, that sort of thing. So a lot of these things are kind of, this is actually a new setting to me, the last group of students that I supervised was over the winter. So I think I skipped 1 or 2 cohorts. So this is a new upgrade in the Google Slides software. So that to my knowledge, I haven't seen it before. It's just a setting. If you want to change it, we just don't want it, because some students are coming in with really minimal knowledge or experience in working with Google Slides, which is fine. But if they start changing things, then text blows up and then it's overlapping photos, or it gets lost, and it's just kind of hard to manage. So just having it in the template as a do not resize means that when you change this text, it doesn't resize that text box. Now, yeah, that's all it is.
Then there's another technical question. Just to the left, there is an acknowledgement that the website or the course itself is continually, sorry, I can't read, it's too small, but it's continually trying to update its responsiveness to Indigenous people and that whole conversation. Can we delete that, or does that have to stay on the slide template? Because it's not highlighted. Yeah, you see where your cursor is?
I do see it. I would be fine with you deleting that. I do think it's worth, I guess I would leave it. You can make it smaller. You can make it smaller just by taking that space out and referencing it. But yeah, that's fine for you to remove if you want to.
Okay. All right.
This is the active master, so I really shouldn't be playing. That's funny. The permissions on that tend to change sometimes. We really shouldn't have. Nobody should really have active access to that copy. I do have a copy of me. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, some of these are ones that Dow has shared with me. So I'm just going to make a copy. Make a new copy. Okay. Does that cover your questions?
I think so. Thank you. I'm on a very steep learning curve.
Okay. Well, Dow is really helpful to work out to, or to reach out to for Google. I think she actually does kind of a Google Slides kind of a webinar tutorial at some point. And you're always welcome to reach out to her directly with Google Slides. I've worked with Google Slides for years, so I'm also happy to answer questions in our office hour. I'm just not as available on a day-to-day basis to answer questions, but you're always welcome to email them to both of us. Just CC me on them, and that's fine, because she often then forwards your email on to me and be like, can you answer this for the student? I'm like, oh, sure, that's fine. So.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Vincent, did you have any questions, or do you want me to jump into kind of going through the assignment?
I think I'm good. There's some things on I think on the original template, like on the introduction page or whatever that's called, the very first slide, like the climax community, I had some trouble finding. I wasn't real
Okay.
clear on what that was. But I
Okay.
think otherwise
So
I
you're
was just
jumping
doing.
ahead then. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, cool. All right. So you're jumping ahead. Go through the template and like take a look. Like I like to always get a good bird's eye view of everything. But if you're jumping ahead to something into a future lesson and be like, I don't understand what this is, it's all explained or it does come clear. But if I give you information for that now, then it's going to kind of lose track of like where you're at for lesson 1. So yeah, don't worry about it. We'll cover you when you get there.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I will go through first a general overview of the template. So I'm going to go back to my share here. Share screen. Okay. Now, let's see. There we go. That's what I want. Okay. Where's my agenda? Okay. So let's go right up to the beginning. Oh, come on. It won't let me control that screen from within this screen. I do want to see my agenda. There are many things I love about Butter for not being Zoom. And there's some things that I'm like, this is still a little sticky. Oh no, it's just my computer's overheating. That's what it is. Okay, so general overview. So in every, in the entire course, there are 10 lessons over the entire course. So your table of contents is at the top. There's lessons 1 to 7, and then 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so each lesson is going to have 3 assignments. So you're going to see sometimes that language gets a little bit sticky where someone's like, oh, lesson, the personal survey lesson was like actually the personal survey assignment. So basically assignments are sub to the lesson. So we'll be talking about handing in your lesson, which means submitting the material for all 2 or 3 assignments. So each lesson will have 2 or 3 assignments. Some of them have 2, some have 3. And then those points are divided up in kind of a relatively consistent way. There's typically a survey, which is worth about 4 points, and that's basically just an information gathering. And then there's going to be more of a design-specific aspect, which is worth anywhere from usually 8 to like 16 points, depending on how much material you're going to be getting in. So this one, I'll detail that in the next. And then each lesson. Oh, I didn't. Come on. Sorry, each assignment within the lesson, with the rare exception, you can see with the personal survey, there isn't one. But in general, each assignment has a SWOT analysis, so strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and then assignment conclusions. So you're going to want to do that SWOT analysis through the lens of that particular assignment. So what are some particular strengths of your design site? What are some threats to it? What might be harmful or weaknesses? And what are some opportunities? Now, this is just going to be up to this point, what you've identified, 2 or 3 things that pop out at you. You don't need to write, you don't need to include all of the details, but I usually 2 to 4 points on each of those sections captures the amount of detail that's relevant. And then an assignment conclusion can be, I found this really interesting. I've enjoyed this assignment. I learned a lot about this particular aspect. I found the data difficult to find and frustrating to work with, but I have identified a bunch of opportunities that I might have otherwise overlooked. So anything like that, a couple of sentences is fine. So you're going to be wanting to ask questions specific to your project and that lesson or assignment to answer this. And then any lingering questions that you've got, that you're asking questions for me, you can drop into this final slide. I will answer them as a comment. So it's really important that everyone goes up to the share, this little share guy with the plus sign. Add me as, go here. You can do an anyone with the link can comment, or you can just add me specifically as a commenter. Don't add me or anyone else as an editor, because it's really easy to accidentally drop a cursor and then delete something or inadvertently change something when you're trying to comment. So don't add anyone else as an editor, unless you have a spouse or obviously like a partner or somebody that you're collaborating with. But only add us as commenters, and then we can leave comments. Now it's up to you whether you add only me as a commenter and leave the link open for viewing by your classmates. I really recommend leaving other students as a viewer only and just leaving me as commenters. Otherwise you can wind up with sort of a cluttered sidebar of comments from random comments from other students. Generally the peer review is best going into the discussions, but it's up to you what you feel comfortable doing. If you want to keep it private to me only, that's also fine. It is nice for other students to be able to, to share their work and get commentary and feedback and stuff from other students. And I generally find with that's a lot of the learning, and some really great suggestions come out from students that are in similar climates or in similar situations. Okay, so that's our general overview. For this lesson specifically, the 3 assignments are the personal survey, which is worth 2 points. Your design survey, I need to double check, this is worth 10 points. Okay, Karen, I note your question. I'm going to just finish up the sentence. And then the climate survey is worth 4 points. So your total for this lesson is going to be 16 points. Okay. Give Karen the word. Go ahead, Karen.
So my question...
Okay, go ahead.
So my question was, with that going back to that last slide, if we don't allow students to comment, how are we supposed to do the evaluation, the assignment that is the evaluation of other students' work? We're supposed to evaluate at least 2 students' work every week, every lesson.
Right. So for the peer review, what you can do is you can go through their assignment on view mode and then just go into the discussion. And you can drop their after they've submitted their assignment. Then you can say, like, somebody can say, hey, you can say, hey, Vincent, I really liked what you're planning out for, this, like the water system. Have you thought about planting these specific trees, something like that? And that's your peer review. It's really based on the system. It's pretty straightforward. So if there is somebody, sometimes what happens is like, this has happened a lot with like the LA Basin and the Central Valley, like for California specifically. Then students like to just give access to the students that are in their area, and then they can have kind of more freedom to like offer suggestions or like, even plan meetups and stuff with one another in the slide. So it's entirely up to you and what you're comfortable with. Now, later in the course, what we'll find is that students start to drop off. Totally normal for an online course. Adulting, life happens. You might find that students aren't submitting their assignments at the same time that you'd like to be doing their peer review. So you don't really have a place to do their peer review if they haven't submitted it. In which case, you're welcome to like just drop a comment like, hey, Vincent, I saw your assignment or your this assignment or your lesson, and leave your comments there without having to wait for them to actually submit their assignment. And sometimes that can be a little bit motivating for them. Or, you might just, occasionally it's happened where there's actually been like, one student has submitted lesson 7 or lesson 8 and nobody else has submitted up to that point. And then they can either like take a pass or they can wait until others have submitted. They can go back and, make some suggestions for certain areas or something. It's really, the idea is that kind of students it's a peer support more than a requirement of review necessarily, if that opportunity isn't there. So, is that fine?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. And we'll cover that as we get into those situations, if you've got a question on that. Okay, one thing that does happen quite often, so this is for you guys, for anyone watching the replay, is that we get the personal survey details dropped into the discussion comments or as a comment. So we don't want that. We want the details to go in here, like into the template, so that information is actually part of your assignment. Now, let me see, where is it? Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. So submitting your image there. In the next lesson, you're going to be submitting material as either a single or multiple clients, but we'll cross that bridge. Some of the template pieces have moved around over time, so I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything in the personal survey that had been changed. When you submit, don't forget to post the link of your project into the discussion, because that's how I'm able to access it in order to grade it. So I need to be able to see that you've commented with the link to your project in order to grade that. I also ask students to rename their assignments so that it's their last name. They can put OSU PDC Pro, and then summer 2025 or June 2025 or something like that. But basically that their last name comes up first on the tab. So if I've got 7 or 8 projects open in my window, if I'm just on a laptop, then I can see, say, like Hernandez, Mario, all the different names lined up, and I can tell whose project rather than just seeing OSU PDC Pro, OSU, like over and over and over again. So it really helps me focus on marking rather than trying to keep projects straight. So it's kind of helpful to your grader, makes life easier and makes the marking process move faster, which means you get your review fast back sooner. Okay. And then if you haven't already, please provide me with access for commenting or viewing at a minimum using my Gmail so that I can access it through Google. So susan.cousino@gmail.com. And like I said, you may not want to provide access to everyone for commenting. That's fine. Just don't add me as an editor, please. Okay. Assignment 1, the personal survey. It's pretty straightforward. Just fill in the template, put nice photos. This is a really good place to start practicing, making sure you've got clear images and that they're not distorted. So in the personal survey, it's not quite so relevant. It's going to get more and more relevant as you've got site photos coming in. The other thing I run into a lot here is where we're asking if you have any experience or prior experience. Now, from my standpoint, any experience is very likely to be relevant. And that includes like accounting and legal to caregiving, which I have way too much experience in, even like parenting. All of these things are things that are going to be relevant in your design of sustainable human habitat, which is the goal of permaculture, is taking responsibility for yourself and your descendants. It's not just about gardening. It's not just about where to put the trees and how to, create native habitat. It's really about creating a sustainable human living system that, works with the environment which we find ourselves within. So think about how your existing experience, whether that's education, lived experience, volunteer, anything like that, is actually relevant to what you're designing here, not just about gardening, farming and gardening. Okay, and then in our design site, this is where it's going to get really important for getting direct overhead shots. The first slide can be a little bit of a stumbling block for students that aren't well acquainted with discussions of like Indigenous land history and Indigenous rights. I really encourage everyone to just look at it as like really logistically, who are the people here before you? Did they tend the land differently? Did they tend it at all? How long have humans been known to inhabit the place where you're at? What are some of those historical influences or factors that might have influenced your site? It's not about Indigenous people handled it better or managed it better, and that's our goal moving forward, to take it back to a certain historical practice, which that may be the goal, and it may not be at all. It's often not. You want to use, so when you're going through this land history side, really keep that just try to keep it from a neutral perspective if you need. I have had students get sort of worked up about like, well, there's no evidence that they were managing it, better than we were, and like we're all God's children, and I'm like, that's great. How did they manage it differently? Did they manage it differently? What were some of their practices that we might want to bring forward and we may not? So, okay. So here is where we get into the images of your site. A lot of these are going to be screenshots or images captured from Google Earth. Wherever you can, get into the habit of capturing a scale with it. So if you save an image in Google Earth, it will automatically generate a scale for you. If you're doing a screenshot, that's not necessarily the case. You want to use the toggle circle up in the right-hand corner to make sure that the image is taken from directly overhead. Because if it's oblique, your scale doesn't mean a lot anymore because, up at the foreground, it's going to be at a certain scale, and in the distance, it's going to be different. Make sure when you're inserting slides into these rectangles that they're not getting stretched one way to the other. You can look at the text to see if it's been distorted. You can look at mountains or landmarks, like, do these look like they're longer than they should be, or narrower and like taller than they should be. So really just keep an eye when you're in images here that you're getting into the habit of really checking that they haven't been distorted. Usually if you just do an insert image rather than like a drag and drop, it'll get that right for you. You'll get the image into that box rather than the image being distorted to fit the box. Okay, these should be straightforward. Just follow, you're going to be putting in information about local municipalities, distance to other places. Just filling out the highlighted text should be pretty straightforward. If you have questions, don't hesitate to ask. We just want to know basically where in proximity to other things you are. So what sort of resources are going to be locally available. For rural sites, that may not be much. These might be like 40 or 50 miles or more. Sometimes they're 2 or 3 miles. So just kind of pick a middle ground. Try to curb the urge to multiply slides. It can get really tempting here to just like add a little bit more big picture, and it's not generally helpful. We just want to, and don't forget to adjust your scale here if necessary, and pick a unit. Pick either miles or kilometers, feet or meters, and then you're going to want to be consistent with that throughout your project. Choose a map compass that makes sense, a compass rose. I am not actually a huge fan of this particular one. I feel like it's really cluttered. I like to see just an arrow and a north and an N. So feel free to choose something off the web. Usually a PNG is going to be most clear. And then if you need to adjust that to, like, typically north is going to be up. If for your particular slide you want your site, sometimes they're very long and narrow, and north is actually, it makes more sense for north to be to the right where east would normally be. That's fine. Just try to keep it consistent as you can. Use up your space. Use your space wisely as you can. Feel free to ask questions if you're not sure. Okay, this is where that having an accurate scale, having that directly overhead image becomes most important, because if your image isn't overhead, your scale is basically meaningless. Here we've given you 2 options. Make sure to adjust it, keep it accurate. Use this red dotted line as your property boundary. That's a pretty common mapping convention. And then you're going to be filling out your information for your project here. Now, some people are not going to be comfortable having their address on your template. That's perfectly fine. I don't need to know the reason. Just say you're not comfortable sharing your address. No problem. Personally, as an instructor, as a grader, I like to know the address or have the address on file, and I usually do because of your registration information. If your site address is different, that's helpful to know so that I can help you out with specific information to your site. But if you don't want that publicly available, don't put it on your template, and there's absolutely no problem with that. We've had all kinds of reasons, and it's really up to you. That's just a privacy issue. I don't mind. Okay, and then a few images of your site just to show what it actually looks like on the ground. This is always really helpful. And your SWOT analysis and your any questions you've got. Now I didn't mention it beforehand. I'm going to drop it in here. You're going to want to change your name on the template to include your name and your project name. Just a city, region, country is helpful, and then whichever cohort you're in. In order to do that, you go up to View, Theme Builder, and then you can change it in here. Yeah, here. Takes a minute. Come on. Oh, maybe it is actually in the very first slide. Yeah. So if you go into this theme, then you can change your name and the project name. If it's like Hummingbird Acres or something like that, you can add it. And then that'll populate across all of the slides. Then just go up to this little X, close it out, and you're done. You don't have to do it. You don't have to touch that for the rest of the course. Okay. And then the final assignment for this is going to be the climate survey. This is usually pretty straightforward. You can use a lot of different sites. We like WeatherSpark, Wonderground, are usually effective, at least in the United States and Canada. If you are in another country and you're having trouble getting this data, reach out to me. We've probably had multiple students from where you are. I can't think of anywhere that we haven't touched on yet. At least that have come through my cohorts or the people that I work most closely with. So we'll be able to find you that data somewhere if you're having trouble. Just averages are fine. It's basically a fill in the blank exercise. This is why the climate survey is worth 4 points. It really should be just fill in the blanks. If you don't have data, or here we go, snowfall. If you don't get snow, just put no snow or not relevant. Don't leave it just with the XX. It just looks like you haven't filled it in. You can also delete that row, or you can add like 0 millimeters or something like that. Indicate that you've kind of registered that information. You're not just like still looking for it. These can be images of weather and climatic conditions. If you've had like a record snowfall and you've got an image with your house with 14 feet of snow around it, something like that is fine. Tornadoes, wildfires are things that people commonly include also. Don't forget to name your images or your tables. That's helpful. Okay. And then this graph, same thing, just fill in the blanks by month. And here again is a pick one. Pick your Celsius or your Fahrenheit. If you want to include both, that's often helpful because we do have international groups. So personally, I'm Canadian, so I play in Celsius really well. And after 10 years, I'm finally getting familiar with Fahrenheit, this like weird system. But either pick one or the other, or fill in them both. Don't leave the X's in; it just kind of keeps it cluttered up. For your records, include some kind of a date. Might just be month and year. That's fine. Okay, and then same for average snowfall, average snow depth. You can, if you've indicated here that snowfall is 0, you can go ahead and delete these 2 rows and then give yourself a little more space, either more images or some more data, something, whatever works for you. There's some wind direction chart, another, any other relevant chart or graphic here. For instance, we get Santa Ana winds, so sometimes people have included a chart of like the Santa Ana, like the decadal oscillations or how they've changed over the years, and that's fine here. So anything that's relevant for your site. We do. Yeah, so the Windy app, WeatherSpark. There's also windrose.com can generate a windrose for you. Oh, and I haven't mentioned to this point, there's always example slides to the right. So if you scroll to the right of your template slide, you will find helpful examples from other students. There's also, in the discussion forums, you'll find links to other student examples. So go ahead and take a look at, formats that you like, things that people have shared, and you're like, oh, that looks cool. I'd like to do that. Keep in mind that some students that have come through here, we've had masters of landscape architecture. We've had students that have already been working in design for years or in graphic design. So some of those examples are really high level, super like high quality submissions, which is nice to offer as examples. It can be problematic when students that are new to design or new to working in Google Slides are like, I have no idea how to do that. That's fine. Just use them as inspiration, get to the point where you can, and then just, make sure that you can submit things that are completed. You don't have to have them perfect. Okay, Karen? Yes, go ahead.
Going back to the links to other students' examples, I went to that site and there are no links to the actual projects. There's a data sheet of who's done what, and but there's no actual link to the project itself. Is it possible to check that?
Yeah, I will check in with Javin on that because he's the one that's built that database.
Okay, and this I was just incompetent, but I went all over that site trying to find links.
Sure.
To the actual projects themselves.
Okay. They've moved it. It was in assignment resources. Oh, no, go back.
Yeah, I think that's where I found it. I think it was in resources.
Okay, I'm going to stop my share.
Okay.
And go to a different share with the lesson one.
Sorry.
No, these are good questions, and it's good to have them in the office hour because then I've got them. They're they'll be in the replay for people. Reducing file size, always useful. Okay. Let me check in. Oh, I know. You know what? I think
I'm sorry.
I'm going in the wrong place.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I can't tell you offhand where it was. I'm still very confused about what's.
I'm going to go back to a share. I'm going to show you where it is because they have had it in the assignment resources on the discussions. But I can see it's actually, this is good. It's gone into the, it's gone into the header here, OSU previous student examples.
Yeah, I think that's one of the, well, maybe not.
Here we go. Yeah, so you click on the last name. Yeah, so here's all the information.
Can you show that? Okay.
Is it? Oh, it's not screen. It's sharing with a different screen now because I opened a new tab. Sure. Okay, here we go. So did you see where I clicked to open that at the top of the template slide?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So that opens up this Master OSU PDC Pro examples. So then under the last names column, the names are linked. So that's where you'll find the
okay, I'll try again because when I did those surnames where I was looking were not linked like that. They weren't highlighted in blue and they weren't linked. But I'll try again. maybe I went in from the wrong angle. I'll try again and give you feedback if there's an issue.
Okay, try again and sure, please do. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So that opened up for me, but yeah, do let me know if if you're having any other issues there.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so that ends for the next lesson. There's some. Okay. The only other thing that is worth noting right now is at the very, 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 very end of the template. Is the appendix. So and then the appendix, there's no slides. So this is. Oh, I'm going to share. Sorry, I have to share. Scrolled all the way down. Okay. So So this is all the way at the very end of the template. Here's lesson 10. Go to the end. Here's the appendix. So what you can do here, if you're tired of trying to squeeze your resources or your source links into the lesson slides or got additional information. Yes, it happens very quickly. You can start adding slides in your appendix. I think it's useful to have one slide for each lesson, and then you've got those organized. But whatever works for you. If you want to just have a list, with like bullet points, lesson 1, these resources, lesson 2, this can be also like books you want to read, things you come across during the course that you want to come back to. This is a great place to drop them. So just so everybody knows, it's at the very, very end, and you're welcome to add slides to that. And I encourage, that's a good place to keep those sources. The only thing is that if you don't have the sources linked at all in the actual slide, it's, then it becomes like, that's one of the things that we're actually grading for. So if you can drop like the name of the website or a shortened URL, if you use like bit.ly or something, you can just link a piece of text like source, and then link that text and make it clear what source that is for, whether that's an image or a comment or data. That's really helpful, because otherwise, if you've only put it into the appendix, then I don't really know that it exists without going back and forth to your appendix, which it's just not going to happen for each student. So it's just a good place to drop like more long form sources as you go. Okay, and it's not marked. It's just it's for your future reference. Okay. Okay, the last thing on my agenda for this is how to submit your assignment. So for that, we're going to do different share. And then we're going to go to topic lesson 1. This is going to be where you're going to insert you're going to submit your assignment. So you can see there's there's sections for each. For the personal survey, climate survey, just put it into the, okay. So when you're submitting, you want to reply to the very first, just want to see how this, okay. So reply at the very top at the bottom of this intro section. Don't reply to another student's comment if you can. So once you've replied made a submission, then on your grading section in your part of the course, it will show up as having been submitted. It'll give me like a certain amount of time if you've submitted it late, which is fine. There's no big penalty for submitting it late. It means that it'll be harder for me to catch up marking, because usually my marking is going to be Tuesdays and Thursdays. So you can submit it by Monday at 9 a.m. That's ideal. Just do something. Marcia's got hers submitted here, which is great. Hi, everyone. Here's the link to our project so far. Here's the link. We welcome any comments, and then their names. What you don't want to do is drop your all of your personal survey information into that comment. This is all I need, is just a little comment, saying hi is nice. And then the link to your assignment, and then I can grade that. When I grade them, I just hit reply, and I'm like, your grades are available at this link. And then I link to your, what do they call it? The speed grader. Sorry, I keep forgetting. It's the speed grader. So that's where you can see your grades. Comments in your slides. The reason I don't put a bunch of comments into the discussion is then kind of like everyone can see your business. Some students are like, oh, I kind of would like to that confidential, or that they didn't want that. And I mean it's usually I presume it's always helpful comments. What makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable as a grader is some students I'm like, I've got a lot of comments on one assignment or one lesson. And then the next student, I'm like, wow, this looks great. here's your grades, and there's like no comments. And I feel like students get a little bit uncertain about that. So it's really just super easy just to be like, here's your grades, comments in your slides. And then if you've allowed other students to see your assignment, they can see those comments. If you haven't, they won't. And it makes it a lot faster marking to not be copying comments from your speed grader into the discussion that have also been in your assignment or in your lesson. So when I grade, it's going to be super simple. So don't get hurt if you're expecting a whole bunch of comments in the discussion. You're not going to see them there. These are the housekeeping pieces again. Before you submit, rename your template, add me as a commenter, not an editor. Make sure you've completed all 3 parts of those assignments: the personal survey, the design site, and the climate survey. I'm probably still going to get some lessons submitted without the climate survey or only the personal survey or something. It's fine. I'm not going to be mad. I expect it every time. It's fine. It's not a big deal. But I do try to get students to get all those three parts in. And then I'm going to delete this, but okay. And then once you've submitted with your link, I can grade. Then it's available for grading. So like these ones, I could go ahead and grade now, even though next Monday is the actual deadline. Okay. Not to pick on Marcia. This is what I'm saying that we don't want. We don't want all this text into. I'll probably actually delete that once I know that she's submitted it in her assignment. Okay. Let me double check. There's nothing more on my agenda for submitting. I know some of you are going to submit late. It's not a big deal. This is an adult learning course. I know everyone's got lives. You get busy, stuff gets behind, your childcare falls apart, your internet goes crap, you get hit by a wildfire, all the things happen. Just do your best to get them in as close to the deadline as you can. If you get behind, do your best to catch up. I don't need apologies. I don't need all the reasons. I do appreciate hearing if you're coming in late. But don't feel like you need to make reasons for being late. It just happens, and that's okay. As you get further into the course, if you're getting further and further behind, we'll start talking about potentially re-enrolling you in a different cohort because it gets harder to get caught up, both for me as a grader and for you as a student, to do quality work that's up to the level that we expect in order to award certificates. But that's going to come in later. So just get kind of a feel for submitting assignments with the first 2 or 3 assignments, and then if you're getting behind, reach out and we'll start getting you caught up. Okay, there is a break also, so that's often an opportunity around lesson 5 for you to catch up if you've gotten behind. It's also a good opportunity to get a little bit ahead so that you've got some more time freedom to really put effort into the final assignments, which are quite heavy. So don't leave things for the last 2 weeks. Just don't, please. Okay. I'm going to stop my share there. Are there any questions? No. I've got about 10 minutes left.
I think I'm good. I'm sure I'll have some more, but right now I can't think of any.
Okay, well, you got your questions. Yeah, as we're going. I'm going through, I do keep notes on the assignments as I've gone through the years in Notion. And I think I might share some of these in the discussion. They might be helpful. I try not to overwhelm students with information. And sometimes I feel like a lot of the Q&A can be just that sort of overwhelming amount of reading. But know if you have a question afterwards or during the office hour, it's probably been asked before. And if not, it's really helpful to a future student or a student in another instructor's group. So, there's I think there's 6 instructors on this cohort. We basically take students according to our geography and our experience. If you have questions that I can't ask, I can refer them to the instructor pool, and then we'll get it answered and we'll get other resources in. There is an OSU PDC Pro student alumni page, which you can join. I believe you can join before you finish the course. And then there's some general help pages where if you want to reach out and connect with other students, you're welcome to do that. And sometimes that's helpful just for getting ideas from other regions or, just from different perspectives. So, okay, if there are no more questions, then I will close out. And I hope this was helpful. You're always welcome to reach out, ideally through the Canvas email system. I have tried using my Gmail. I've tried using my business email. Things have gotten lost for various reasons, usually no mistake to the student. It's usually mine. But yeah, the Canvas email is really the one that works the best for me. I've also got a WhatsApp group, which I've provided links to, and is really helpful for like those super quick questions I can answer at a red light, or I can think about, or I can provide like an audio feedback. It actually works really, really well for me. So that's up to students. There's a few previous students in it. And then otherwise just showing up at the office hours. So, oh, Karen. All right, go ahead.
Yes, sorry, I tried to join that WhatsApp group, and it kept telling me that I had to wait for someone to approve my request, and then eventually it just sort of timed out or something. I've tried it twice, because WhatsApp is a really, really useful tool for us here.
So, okay, so I've got it set, no members to review. People do not need admin approval to join this group, so they can join it without requesting. Turn on admin approval and group permissions. But I do have, that's interesting. What is your number? Is yours the +27 74107?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
What is the group called?
OSU PDC Pro : Susan's
OSU.
group. That's really interesting.
Yep. So I can't see it on my side. What I've ended up with is some link to a library OSU edu site, which I know is not right.
Okay. Well, what I can do, I'm just going to write down all these numbers and add them manually, because you and others have requested to join, which is very helpful to me. So yeah, I'll just manually add them. Let me try that.
Sorry
right now. No, I'm sorry. It's okay. That's so interesting. Karen, what's your last name?
It's Caister, Caister.
Okay, Caister. Okay.
Yeah.
In South Africa? Yeah. So
Yes.
7417. Okay. So you've been added to my contacts.
Oh, there we go. Okay, it just now it's popped up. It's possible that it's just a WhatsApp thing where you have to add it from another country. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, a number of these, like 210 and 949, I know are California, and then there's another international address. So I'm just going to add these manually after the call. Just do that.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for bringing that up. No, that's good to know. Okay. All righty. Well, if that's it, and we're pretty much at time. Okay. And I will have the replay up on YouTube fairly shortly. All right.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thanks for.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay. Well, take care, you both, and have a good week. Or weekend, I guess we're just about there.
Yeah.
So.
And I hope you start feeling better soon.
Thank you. All right. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
How do I leave? There we go.
Yeah.